Add 7 people. Okay, here we go. Now we're going.
I tweeted it.
Oh, you didn't put it in the tweets?
I tweeted it. If you just go.
Good. You know how to use that Twitter.
Oh, I should have put it. I should have done it straight from the player. I just copied thing. I just copied what I had there.
You can do whatever you want to do.
I did it from mine. I did it from mine.
Whatever you want.
Right.
Whatever you want.
You can now you can
retweet it.
Now I can retweet.
Yeah, retweet. All right, here we go.
Retweet.
3, 2, 1.
So, you want to know the story of Splatterhouse, the new horror video game for TurboGrafx 16? They say he stalks the old haunted mansion. They say he's looking for his girlfriend. They say his only weapon against the maggot-eating ghouls who took her is a 2x4. And you say you want to play this game? Splatterhouse. Buy a TurboGrafx 16 system now and get one of 38 selected games free.
It's the only commercial.
I'm scared.
That's very scary. It's very scary. Be afraid. Hello, try not to be afraid, and welcome to Play Retro. I'm one of your hosts, Scott Johnson, and I like my blood and guts limited to 64 colors, please. Oh, hey, is that Jason? Not Jason? Oh, well, he sort of looks like Jason. You go, Jason. I mean, not Jason.
Run! And I'm your other host, Brian Dunaway, and I am not evil. This mask, I'm telling you, it's evil. Now hand me that 2x4. I'm about to go not be evil on every floor of this monster-filled mansion. Hey! Is that an underdeveloped fetus coming at me out of a mutant mansion womb? And you expect me to what? Kill it? Oh, no, not in this social political environment. I'm a coward.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a coward.
We're all cowards this month. You know what? I have to say, I really like that we focused on like scary stuff for this month.
Yeah, it's appropriate. I've been wanting to play Splatterhouse for so long. I wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to do. I want to get into it. I've dabbled.
Some edgy stuff back in the day. I remember Genesis owners were like, yeah, that's because we're the cool console where we don't mind a little blood now and again, you know?
Yeah. I thought, and you know what? I was one of those people. I'm like, oh, I'm cool. I got a Sega Genesis. And then people are like, you do realize that the first one was released on the TurboGrafx. And I was like, oh, no, I did not know that.
You do realize there was a weird NES game in Japan only that was super weird. You know what's funny? I actually think that game, we'll talk about this when we get to it, but I think that game plays better than the other ones. It's a pretty good game.
It's different.
It's different, but it feels good. I don't think it's the right story, look, tone, but it's a better platformer. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, absolutely. Anyway. It's a better platformer because those ones are beat 'em ups and hack and slashers.
That's right. That commercial obviously came from the TurboGrafx version of the game, which does exist. We'll acknowledge these things as we get into it, but the mainstream, where people really were buying it was on the Genesis and not the Super Nintendo. Okay.
No, not there.
Not there this time. Sorry.
No.
Let's dig up some old console fight from the 90s. Let's do it.
Let's do it, baby.
Yep, I like it.
We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that part.
We'll get into all of that. I feel bad this week though because the only retro play I did was Splatterhouse on the Genesis 2 in particular. I think 2 is the bomb. That's the one I like the most.
I think you did all right. You did all right.
Yeah, 2 is good.
If you only play 2 on the Genesis, I think you have a good working base for what the rest of the Splatterhouse games are.
I agree. Like I also just think it's the better version of the game. The first version looks pretty good, but is some of the worst sound design I've ever heard. But because that's all the retro time I had, and here's why. I got way into Marvel Snap, which came out finally in full release.
Oh, is that mobile app thing?
It's a mobile game. It's a card game. And it is made by the folks, Second Dinner, made up of a team of people, including Ben Brode, who were former Hearthstone devs and creators over at Blizzard, and then they left.
Brode, yeah.
And then they worked on this, and this is their new project. And Marvel Snap is freaking great. It's really good. Really, really good. So I would highly recommend that if you have an iPhone or Android device, you're good.
And how appropriate, but how last phase of them?
What do you mean last phase? Oh, Snap. Well, I think they call it Snap because it's fast. I think that's why.
So not because Thanos is like you're not like waiting for Thanos.
No. That's a really interesting point. Now you're making me wonder if they considered that when I'm sure they did because working with Marvel is notoriously a pain in the ass.
Right.
But I think it's because the matches are so damn fast. You just get in there and get out of
Okay.
there. I don't even know if there's a Thanos card. There might be. I haven't gotten to him yet.
It might be, or it might not be there. Who knows?
But as a fan of comic art, you'll love it because a big draw for the game is unlocking all these variants of characters that are drawn by different artists, and it's great. There's even pixel versions of. I got a pixelated version of the Thing today.
Now,
cool.
Okay, so up until you said that, I was kind of like, I don't know, Scott.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
do I really want a mobile game?
Yeah.
But then you said the pixelated version, so giving a little old school love. Then in that case, play retro me, baby. I'm looking up Marvel Snap.
Do it. It's on phones and tablets, and then it's coming to Steam as well. It's not done yet. They got to widescreen that thing. And then there was one other place that was getting it. It wasn't consoles. I don't remember now.
Was it my Samsung refrigerator?
It's always your Samsung refrigerator. Check it out.
Yeah.
No, I don't remember. There was some other place that's coming. But anyway, it's exciting stuff. Go check it out. And then Overwatch 2 has me completely hooked. I'm completely hooked on Overwatch 2. I didn't expect it. I played so much Overwatch 1, I thought, you know what? I never need to play Overwatch again. What are they going to give me here? And turns out they're going to give me 5-on-5 matches instead of 6-on-6 and role-specific character choosing
But that's
before you start a
bullshit
match.
because you can't play two tanks. You can't have two tanks in your team. What?
It's so much better this way. So much better. It's like a new game. I love it. I love that.
It is a new game.
I don't want 2 tanks. I want 2 damage dealers. I want 2 healers, and I want 1 tank. Let's go, baby. That's what I want. And that's what they do. It plays more like a MOBA now, kind of in a weird way. And I love playing support, which is super easy to get into. The queues are short for support, so it's no problem getting in there. And that game's free to play now, so there's no reason people can't get into it. The new characters are really cool. I'm just all back in on Overwatch. I can't stop.
I am so curious. 20 years from now, where all of these server-based games are, because we already seen this with City of Heroes. Remember City of Heroes?
Sure.
And how we know it's like we can emulate a lot of these things because we had these items in our hands.
Aren't there still private servers? There's private servers for City Heroes, I think.
There is, but it was a very long time coming, and there was some lawsuits and getting shut down, and just some controversies because you got such a large group. It's not like with Splatterhouse where I can just stick it on my Genesis and go, I don't need none of you people. I can just get my retro on.
Game preservation from service games preservation is absolutely like new territory, and I don't know where it goes. I don't know how they do it.
Right,
it's going to be interesting to watch.
But
you know what, dude? Nature finds a freaking way. Okay, it does.
Oh, you're right. That's right. Nature finds a way.
It does every time. Okay, but you did more. You did some actual retro things this week besides playing Splatterhouse. What was it? What'd you do?
Oh, absolutely. So we got these. Yours should be on the way, I believe. We talked a few weeks ago about this. I'm holding it up now, and if you can't see what I'm holding up, you should listen to the podcast. It's the Legend of Zelda hand-drawn game guide. Now, this is on the internet, and we can post a link somewhere later. But essentially, someone made a PDF of all these great hand-drawn game guide stuff for the Legend of Zelda. Nice. And so our good friends, so Dominic from Aggieland Printing in Bryan, Texas, heard what we'd said and said, "Hey, I own a print shop," and printed this up and sent it on out, and you'll get yours very soon.
I got to talk to that dude about some other stuff. Dominic, send me an email. I got some printer. I got some needs.
Got some needs, but I love this thing, man. This hand draw. Oh, man, I tell you, retro fans are just the best. They just have such a passion. I'm so glad this was something that can still hang around. You know how the Nintendo is litigious and stuff. So I'm just so glad that this is something that has not been removed from the internet. Because it is fantastic.
What if we got a cease and desist on this show for doing any Nintendo content? What would you do? How would you feel?
Just flip the bird and keep on going. You know what I mean?
Flip the bird and keep on going, baby. Yep.
There's a reason why I don't put like any Nintendo videos that I do like gameplay on YouTube, because YouTube is such an easy place for all these places to shut you down. Yeah. So I don't keep nothing on my Twitch either. So like after a couple of days, it just goes away. So nothing bothers me more than I'm like, hey, look,
I'll take the bullet, dude. I put this stuff on YouTube after. I'll take the bullet for us. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
There you go.
Yeah, games preservation. We're all about it here on the show. Anyway, mine's on the way. I guess I think it may have arrived today, and I just have to go get it from the P.O. box. So I will do that.
That sounds good. But
Dominic,
also,
you need to call me. You need to email me. Yeah, go ahead.
Also, speaking of things that will arrive soon, tomorrow my Steam Deck dock is on the way, and it should be here tomorrow. And boy, oh boy, I was so excited whenever I got my Steam Deck order, and I posted on Twitter, and everybody was like, "Oh, is it here yet? When's it going to get there?" and all that stuff. And I thought, well, maybe people would be just as excited about me waiting on my Steam Deck dock. Nope. People were like, "I don't want that stupid overpriced thing, blah, blah, blah." And other people like, "It's fantastic. I love it." And so boy, do people have opinions.
How do you feel about the $89? How do you feel about the price?
I find it okay, but I'm coming from a different place. I think a lot of this has to do with where you're coming from. Like, I have docks for my PC laptops, USB-C with network and dual display ports and fast USBs and all that stuff, $129. So $89 for a Steam Deck dock, that doesn't bother me. But I also understand that not everybody's going to need everything that this provided here, because they probably are comparing it to things like the Nintendo dock, which is basically just just a USB, one or two USBs. It has an HDMI out, and you can plug it into the wall, and it stands stuff up. Most people probably just looking for a nice little stand they can put their dock in, and then one HDMI so they can plug it into a TV, and that's probably it. That's probably all they care about. But
no, we care about desktop mode and all that stuff. We want to go in there and tweak and hack and screw around, right?
Right. But a lot of people were like, "I'm only going to spend $50 on this one." I'm like, well, for $50, I guess. But the one you're looking at doesn't have, the dual display, which is important to me because I want to send one out with zero latency to a monitor and one to my capture card so I can capture from it. But not everybody has that need. You know what I mean?
What about these ones that are, okay. So there are a ton of knockoff ones of these. Oh,
there's so much stuff. There's anything from, $20 up to, what you could get laptop. They plug in just fine. Valve has been very supportive of these docks and stuff. So they're not locking everything down going, "No, you can't get that." So my actual $129 laptop port works just fine. But it's just not a dock. It doesn't have that docking.
Okay, well, I just found a whole bunch of like $39, $28, and they're docks, like straight up docks. I want to get one.
And all those that I found in that price range the problem was they had the 10100 network cards, because network cards can really bring the price up. I think the cheapest gigabit one I saw was the $50 one. So maybe that's not important to you. Maybe you're a retro gamer and you're not worried about the network speed. It might not even be important to you.
Well, it depends on what you're doing, I guess. I mean, that'd be like what, a downloads consideration, I suppose, is all you're worried about.
Like if you were playing some modern games, maybe you wanted to play it like in the cloud or something. There's a bunch of different ways you can use your Steam Deck. Very versatile, and as a result, very versatile amount of docks. But boy, I tell you, man, people really got mad. It's like, "I can't believe it." It's like, oh, dude, it's okay.
People get excited about what they got, what they're into.
Right.
I get it.
Right. And I'm like, it's good. It's fine. It's fine.
I think
if you want to get the other one, get the other one.
I'm gonna, what? For comparison's sake,
yes,
I'm doing it. I'm gonna get one. Add to cart.
Everybody keeps talking about the JSauce, I believe it's called. KT Data is also just posted but I think it's JSAUX. It's a third party. It seems to be doing. It's one of the more popular ones. It has the gigabit. It's like $50. I think it also has like a good SSD port. So I mean, it's got advantages if those are the things you're looking for.
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, just like always, it depends on what you want. I'm going to go ahead and nab at this, and then come Monday when it gets here, by Tuesday's show, we'll be able to talk about it a bit. What do you think of that?
I think that'd be great, because I'll have mine by then, and we can discuss it. It's all a gamble anyway, because you're going to get it. You're not going to think of a use case until it comes up. Then you're like, shit. I wish I had gotten the other one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, it's on its way, so we'll do some comparison stuff. I've got a return on this if I needed it. They make it real clear on here. You can return it, which makes me nervous. It's like, don't worry, you can return it if it's garbage. We promise.
That is the one disadvantage to the Steam Deck dock. I feel like once I get it, if I did need to return it, I probably could, but it's probably going to be a big old hassle. Unlike Amazon, where it's just like you just drop it back in the UPS store and say bye now.
I wonder.
5 minutes later, you have your refund.
I wonder if it's a giant pain to do.
It's
Valve has a good thing. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a physical item that would require an RMA process, and I'm sure they just haven't got to that point yet because I'm sure they haven't had that many returns yet. Yeah, so if they did, we had heard about it. So they just don't have the system in place. Whereas Amazon is literally a warehouse. That's all it does.
I don't remember people complain this loud about how expensive replacement switch docks were. They were really expensive.
Yeah.
And
it really seemed kind of crazy.
And they're plastic as hell. Like there's nothing to a switch dock at all. They didn't have near the ports or anything. And they were selling those for $79 or some ridiculous number. And I don't remember people losing their minds. Maybe it's because the basic dock came with it, so you were good. Right. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think to be honest with you, I really feel like they should have sold like the top end with the dock or something. Like that should have been an option while they were selling stuff. But I don't even know if they knew they were going to have the dock ready in time, because they're still putting out firmware updates and stuff for that dock. So it's going to be a little bit of experiment for here.
Well, we'll see. Come next week, we'll both have our docks and we'll talk about them more on the show.
Yeah. We'll call it the What's Up Doc episode.
What's Up Doc episode. That's right. But now this.
Destroy it.
Guys, that laugh is appropriate because it's Halloween month. Ooh. And today we're talking about Splatterhouse. Let me give you the background. 2 college students, Rick Taylor and Jennifer Willis. Okay. You're going to want to remember Rick Taylor. All right.
Oh, he is the man.
He is the man. They take refuge in a storm in West Mansion, a local landmark known as Splatterhouse, for the rumors of hideous experiments purportedly conducted there by Dr. West, a renowned missing parapsychologist.
Ooh, scary.
At the mansion, the 2 are attacked by demonic creatures that drag Jennifer inside and fatally wound Rick, leaving him left for dead.
Jennifer!
But guess what? Magic Jason Mask came and saved the day, and off he goes to avenge his girlfriend. That's the basics of the story, anyway, behind the Splatterhouse games, which started as an arcade game in 1989. That's the only one I ever played until this week.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I never saw the arcade machine out in the wild, but once again, my daddy was no arcade dealer, so I didn't have that advantage.
Yeah, well, and that's not what I got through that. By then, my dad was out of the business, but it was
right.
I'd go to an arcade and I would play it. So I put a fair number of coins inside this particular arcade machine. I thought it was super edgy in '89. Like, oh man, look at this gross, violent, freaking stuff happening in a video game. Mom, don't look at me, Mom. I'm playing this.
We had not gotten to Mortal Kombat, so we're talking about gross body parts, body horror, just terrifying stuff, right?
Yep. Slasher stuff, cutting heads off. This weird freaking slug bug room he's in right now. I remember this. I remember struggling with this, and he's cheating like I did. He's totally cheating.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. That's one thing we'll find out in Splatterhouse. There are areas where you can go and you're safer. The spot this guy's in right now, that's pretty much the place you want to be.
Yep. For those at home, here's a taste of what things sound like. Some old Thunder samples.
That's good.
Some Thunder samples on the old arcade board. Anyway, listen to this. Now, here's what I don't understand. I'm going to pause this for just a second. He's going to pick up a cleaver here in a second. He's going to start whacking the heads off these enemies. Now, I want you to hear the sound that makes. It's all wrong. Listen to this. What? Why is it racquetball, dude? Why?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So I did a little deep dive, as I always do. Shigeru Yokoyama, the developer of this game, there's a lot of other people involved too, but that's usually the name that comes up. And one of the things that they were looking at was Namco was a little bit like, hey, you know what? We need to make this not too scary now. So they kept trying different sounds that they could use for chopping something in half, and I guess everything was a little bit too graphic, and so they ended up just doing this popping noise with his mouth. That's how Yokoyama.
He did it with his mouth. That's insane.
Described it.
Hold on.
Well,
I think
they simulated it, but it sounds just like
That sounds like they're playing racquetball to me.
It does, but it was just like just breathing out and popping at the end of the breath, according to the interview.
If that's correct, and he's saying that in an interview, I'm impressed with what he can do with his freaking mouth, man.
Yeah, like I said, I think that's a representation of the sound he made. I think they made it digitally, but yeah, they were, or maybe not. I'm not sure. Yeah. So that they didn't say how far beyond that. He just said that was the example that he gave them on how to do it.
Well, we're also talking about an era where platformers reign supreme, and this is one of those. It's a let's go left or right. One thing that made it unique, I thought, at the time, we're looking at one of these examples right now, same with the creature room before, he would enter rooms that were basically kind of boss rooms.
Yes.
And have to fight like haunted furniture and knives and, whatever else is in this place before he could get out of there. And I thought that was so cool because when I would get there, I'd be like, look at me. I'm a killer. I'm a really good video game player. I made it to the boss room and I'm fighting paintings now. How cool is that? And also just this game, first of all, is in the arcade, so I could go to the arcade and play it. This would have been like, sorry, son, can't have that in the house kind of game.
Oh, no. You can't have Satan in the house. No, thanks.
Nope. And so I didn't do, that, but we would go and plunk quarters into this thing and have a ball. I really, really liked it in the arcade. So hats off to the arcade.
The thing I found, the best thing about this game is how satisfying it is to whack stuff and to slice stuff, hack and slash. It's so satisfying. Even that stupid sound, it actually fits. It's a little weird and it feels disconnected, but everything is very satisfying. Like you feel like you're really laying down punches. Rick is a badass, right? He's imbued with the power of the mask, of the terror mask, and he was already pretty buff, but man, he just like buffs out and he just whacks things.
Oh, he's completely ripped. I don't know if did they ever get in trouble for basically making Jason the game, because that's what this is.
Not here, because the games were developed. The arcade game was developed for the Japanese market. Some of the arcade machines did make it to the U.S., but I don't think it was through any normal distribution channels were they distributed. So they weren't worried about it because it's a little more lax in Asia with the copyright laws and stuff. As a matter of fact, with the TurboGrafx one that was officially launched in the U.S., they changed the mask to like a red color. So yeah, no trouble here because it was primarily just a Japanese release that made it over in some cases.
Well, the one thing that made it unique, in my opinion, is the game. It had you pick up items. I mean, a lot of games did, like Double Dragon. You'd pick up a pipe and smack people with it or whatever. But this game was like, hey, you see that gigantic hook over there hanging on the wall? You can have that, and you can shred people with it. You see that baseball
or that harpoon something?
You want to harpoon a guy? You can do it. Do you want to take the giant 2x4, as mentioned in that commercial, and you want to slam a guy against the wall and splatter him, like Splatterhouse reasons? You can do that as well. And I at the time anyway, that felt maybe not unique, but it felt really well implemented here, where items mattered, and they weren't just throwaway ideas that were going to break in 2 seconds. And I really like that. For some reason, the guy playing this playthrough that I captured a bunch of this from, for some reason, he barely uses the guns, and I can't figure out why.
It's really important to use the gun, especially some of the later areas, because it's a pretty cool gun. Cool gun he's got here. They had an arcade game, right? I didn't play as much the arcade game.
It has a rifle in the arcade game, so
yeah.
Totally does. But it's a very cool game. Then along comes the weirdest thing ever. All right. This Japanese thing. We got to talk about this. I'll play some sound from it first. Here's what the game, and if you pronounce it, I hope I get this right. Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti.
Pretty good. Wanpaku Graffiti, correct.
Yep.
It's one of those chibi type reimaginings of the series, right?
Yes, which did not come here at all. Ended up on the Famicom in 1989. It's an 8-bit game, obviously. Here's what that sounded like. It's like, hey, y'all, 8 bits. Remember that time? Remember that era? That's what we got here. I'm going to show some video of this. It's interesting because I actually think I found a ROM, and it's and my ROM is not in English. The version I'm looking at on screen here is.
Yeah.
But the one I found was in Japanese. It doesn't really matter because the dialogue doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's
now
not
this
important.
may be the fan made injection of the translation, because there is plenty of those out there. So you might have found a ROM.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Somebody packed it and put in a localization. But anyway, I really liked this game. From a gameplay standpoint, I think it played better than anything else I tried this week, including my favorite of the Splatterhouse games, which was on the Genesis Splatterhouse 2, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Right.
This just had a really fun speed to it, and big floaty jumps, hack and slash, rip through these levels really quickly. In fact, I was surprised how quickly it felt like it moved. Did you spend much time with this game?
I did. I think you're right. I mean, as far as pick up and play, the Wanpaku Graffiti is a lot more pick up and play. I feel like the Splatterhouse series itself, though, it looks like a fighter on the surface, but if you really let yourself, get immersed into it, I spent more time with the other games simply because if you had like 15, 20 minutes to play in these games, you had the best experience here. But I like I said, I feel like the other ones, because of the story stuff, because of it's a really simple and tropey story of slasher movies, and that's what all the monsters you're fighting are all from slasher movies and hardcore horror from the 80s. Yeah. These are all Hammer film type characters, or Universal monsters like Dracula, who is doing some Michael Jackson action up here.
Dude,
on the screen.
Totally does it. In fact, when he first comes out, the music sounds like
it's Thriller.
It's Thriller. I mean, they didn't care about copyright back then. They were just like, whatever, man.
No. They were safe. That's the reason why they didn't release it in America. He's doing a little moonwalk there. He shoots you a bird. No, it's a peace sign.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. As far as just jump in and play, if you're like one of those retro gamers who likes to just taste test a little bit of everything, you're probably gonna have a better experience with this. But if you have the time to sit down and become emotionally invested in trying to save Jennifer, spoilers, by the way, on a really old game, Jennifer turns on you.
Oh yeah.
She turns into a monster, and you have to kill her.
Yeah.
And so it goes from the two. It goes from the two things you see in a lot of slasher films. It goes from you got to rescue your girlfriend, and then it goes to the revenge type. So after you get through failing to save her, I feel like it's a very emotional turn. Something I'd never really seen in an arcade game. Taking that turn. Yeah. And so then you really do feel like it's like, oh, now I got a reason to kill these blobs of whatever these things are, stuff that's from the Reanimator and the Evil Dead and the other.
They make all kinds of references.
Times.
Yeah, they don't hold back on that, which I think I'm totally fine with. And I don't even know if you could, like, if you own the Friday the 13th IP, can you even go after someone for using a hockey mask on their murderer?
Not later on. Like by the time they got to Splatterhouse 2, I guess they had kind of already decided it, because they work with Paramount, right? Is that who did?
I think it was Paramount.
I think
Pictures.
It was. They'd already worked something out, because they changed the mask look a good bit by the time they got to Splatterhouse 2. But Wanpaku Graffiti, very cutesy. I don't know how they could go after these, because it looks so much like parody. It looks.
It really does.
Looks like a comedic version of all this stuff.
And I don't know what Wanpaku stands for. Let's see, I can find out.
It's like fun menace. Like, I think there was a comparison I read. Like, they released Dennis the Menace in Japan as Wanpaku Dennis or something like that. So it's like a playful menace.
Playful menace is what that means. Interesting.
Yeah, that's roughly what it translates to. I'm sure somebody probably could go, no, Brian, specifically, but that's the heart of it. Graffiti apparently didn't mean anything. I don't. Maybe it's the fun word at the time. There's like, hey, you guys seen this weird English word? What's it called again? Graffiti. That's fun to say. Yep. Let's put it in there. It's fun to say.
I just realized there is an English version that was released in the Namco Museum Archives Volume 1 compilation, which came out in 2020.
Okay.
Didn't know about that. So if you're looking for a way to play that exists. That's a thing.
Okay. I didn't know that. I had the Namco Museum for the PS1, which included Galaga and Splatterhouse 1.
Yeah. See, this is new to me too. This was let's see, Namcot collection.
Yeah. That's the Japanese version of the Nankot.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh, here it is. Volume 1 on Steam. Let me just see if this is.
But it's Namco. I think they still say Namco. And
okay, so here's what you get. The games that come with it on there, 11 titles.
Right.
You get the 8-bit remastered version of Pac-Man Championship Edition, which is great, by the way.
Nice.
The 8-bit version of Championship is ridiculous. I love it. Anyway, it includes Galaxian, Pac-Man, Xevious, Mappy, Dig Dug, the Tower of Druga, Sky Kid, Dragon Buster, Dragon Spirit, The New Legend, Splatterhouse, Wanpaku, Graffiti, and Pac-Man Championship Edition 8-bit remaster.
Nice.
The reviews on Steam aren't great, but why?
Yeah, usually it's like interface or stuff like that. Usually, right?
Yeah,
I mean, 'cause that's what you're really selling.
How can they
I know what usually people get mad about. I can't believe they included the TurboGrafx 16 version when everybody knows the arcade version was far superior. That's usually where you get people pissed.
Yeah, that's true. By the way, normally $20 on sale right now for $4.99. I might grab this.
I'm on its own Steam, you say?
Yeah, I might grab it.
Down.
Says it's totally verified for Steam Deck as well.
Oh, excellent.
Because
I'm going to go back and play these. These have really captured my imagination.
I'm going to grab this. I'm doing it.
I'm doing it right now.
I'm doing it.
I'm soaking in it.
Yeah, $5. Come on now.
And it's called the Namcot, right?
No, you want the one that's literally Namco Museum Archives Volume 1 2020 on Steam. There was a Japanese version of it, but
they're calling it Archives. So that other one was Namco Museum. They have Namco Museum 1, 2, but these are called Archives. Interesting.
Yeah, because it's the old stuff, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. What was that second game there?
Oh, you're right. It is 75% off right now for $4. Oh, and look, I have a friend who has it too. Sweet.
I'm getting this.
I'm getting Mappy. I can't wait for us to talk about Mappy.
I like Mappy. Mappy's great. Mappy's underrated.
Mappy's all right.
Or I should say Mappy is rated. You know,
Mappy is appropriately rated, probably. But we all love Mappy.
By the way, the TurboGrafx 16 version was predated the Splatterhouse 2 on Genesis and 3 on Genesis by like 2 years. They put it out early.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of people experienced it that I talked to was the TurboGrafx, even though that's okay. A lot of people online, retro gamers who I talked to, played in the TurboGrafx. The people I know all had Genesis. I didn't know anybody around here who had a TurboGrafx 16 at the time. So, but I know online, a lot of my friends online.
I had a friend with one, and he was insufferable about it. He was a bit like a vegan, vegans are all right. What am I trying to think of? You know what? Crossfitters talk like this.
There you go, Crossfitter. He's like the Crossfitters of retro gaming.
That's what all of the TurboGrafx 16 people I knew were like that. They were just kind of a-holes about what they owned or what they had.
But I guess so, because it was the first one in that new generation. It was supposed to be a 16-bit, and it kind of is. It's according to how you look at it. It was 8/16, so the CPU was 8-bit, but then we had a 16-bit GPU, I think, right?
Yeah.
Video card. So, I can understand. I would understand that. You know, it's like, hey, look at me, I'm cutting edge. You haven't got nothing 16-bit yet. You're still playing on your stupid NES.
Yeah, you slacker ass slacker. Right?
You slacking. Look at you. Look at my graphics. And they did. They got the freaking Splatterhouse. We couldn't get one of those in the US on the NES because NES was having a fight with Namco at that time, by the way. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. There was a big fight. It was something Pac-Man. No. What was the deal?
No, it was Namco's. Namco was one of the first to get a licensing deal with Nintendo, and this is before Nintendo decided that they wanted to have control of all the kart productions and to take their bit. So Namco got a big pass, but then their license expired and they had to renew it. And they're all like, well, guess what? You got to use the new license. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm walking here, they said.
I'm walking here. And so they got into a bit of a tiff. And so they was like, well, fine. You know what? We heard this TurboGrafx 16 and the PC Engine we hear it's pretty sweet. Mm-hmm. So you know what we're doing? We're taking this because it'd be hard to make a NES copy of this anyway. Because 8 bits would be tough to do a Splatterhouse arcade port. But the TurboGrafx 16-bit, just well enough.
Truth. I agree.
Do you have any sound from the TurboGrafx version? Because
no, I didn't.
Man, the arcade is so silky, smooth, and sexy, and I love what I've seen of the TurboGrafx 16. I don't want anybody to be mad at me going, you can't compare it to the arcade, man. like an arcade machine from 1989 compared to a home TurboGrafx, that arcade machine is going to eat it up.
Yeah, no matter what you're going to do. Let's see if we get some sound out of this, actually. Let me try. This is the 16. Yeah, TurboGrafx. See, they don't even have the lightning noise.
Yeah.
They just have music. Music's okay, though.
It's a good translation, but it's not nearly as robust. Not many sound channels.
No, at least the swiping doesn't sound like... You know, it looks okay. It looks all right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's the best thing I've ever seen. It looks all right.
It's not arcade perfect, but it's not bad. It's arcade okay.
It's not arcade broken. It's arcade working.
Yeah. It's working. It does most of the stuff it has to do. They did remove some of the we were still in that time where you couldn't have religious themes and stuff. NEC, Nintendo, all those people we were still getting out of the satanic panic.
Yeah, they didn't want to be a part of that. Nintendo, in particular, did not want to be associated with that whole thing.
The Japanese were looking over at America going, oh, they've lost their minds.
Yeah, you people
don't put none of that shit in there.
Don't put a cross in there. Don't put any kind of like upside down pentagrams or any of that stuff. Man, today it's no problem finding that. I was just playing Mortuary Assistant yesterday on stream.
Right.
Because people like it when I scream like a baby, man. And that game's got crosses and religious symbology everywhere and like stigmata stuff and all that. It's all over the frickin' place. We're out of the 80s, man. The 80s and 90s were stupid that way.
Yeah, that was rough. I don't know. We kind of come back into them a little bit. I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried.
A little bit. We got. Here's what happens. Dipshits get into power, and then they start making stupid calls for the rest of us.
Right.
Get ready for more of that for a little while. Okay, it's gonna.
Yeah, it's a backlash, is everything, and then then we'll make some progress. Then we'll have a few steps back.
But some of them, I look at some lady who's like my age, right? And she's talking about her kids and what they shouldn't have it or have in the home. And Hocus Pocus 2 is casting spells in my living room. And I want to look at her and go, "You're as old as me. You've seen this before.
Yes.
You're either being willfully." Like whatever this is, you're doing this on purpose for the attention or something, or you're really freaking stupid. Like I can't tell which it is, Brian. I don't know what to call that lady.
I don't know. You'd think I think a lot of people just live life and they just never look up, and then suddenly look up and they're very upset. I guess maybe they weren't part of the worry with the satanic panic like me and you experienced it. I don't know, but I'll tell you what. Splatterhouse Wanpaku Graffiti would say about that. It would say, "Be garbage a cesspool, ha ha ha,
ha ha ha. Be garbage a cesspool, ha ha ha." Right? They almost laugh like this guy. Not really. Speaking of which, let's go to the place where I think the game is shown the hardest and the best, and that is this. Oh, Genesis, you and your sound chip.
I know. Oh, your sound chip.
So, this is the Sega Genesis version.
Yes.
There's not much to play there and part of the reason there's not much to play is it's almost entirely music from this one. That dumb scream. Yeah. But also, for some reason, it's muted for almost all the action. There's barely any sound. Like when you slash or slap or hit or punch a dude, it doesn't make sounds. And if it ever does, it's like a little... It's terrible. Oh, no, I'm sorry. You know what? I take it back. Back me up. Back this truck up. Oh, no, that is correct. No, it is 2 that has terrible sound. 2 has amazing gameplay. I think it's got really good structure. It's a fun game, but its sound work is bad. I'm mixing 3 up. 3 elevated everything. Graphics look better. Sound is way better, but it's not as cohesive of a design, I think.
Right. They really switched up the gameplay part in part 3. But in part 2... on the Genesis, one of the things that the Genesis they excelled at, we talk about all the time how the SNES had the best sound, but the Genesis was okay. But where the Genesis really shined was its ability to get pixels on the screen and do them fast and be sexy. And this is a good looking. Man, if you want to look gross, all these zombies and stuff, they're all bloody on the outside. Now, when you kick them, they got green stuff on the inside, but on the outside, they're all gross and red and just got a really good color palette. It's just fantastic to look at, really gritty and dirty.
Yeah. It's a fun looking game, no doubt. But him doing this thing where he's splattering these guys on the wall, It's an amazing graphical effect, but there's just no sound to it. There's like nothing.
Yeah, and that's disappointing because one of the things that makes this game feel satisfying is when you make contact with a a baddie and splat them. That's what it means. That's what it is to me. Splat. You gotta go with splat.
It's literally called Splatterhouse. You need to have more of that. The later games that tried to revive the series, they were better at that. They weren't great games.
Oh my god. Yeah, the 2010 Splatterhouse, which I've been trying to pick up, and we'll talk about.
It's not a good game. I'm sorry.
It's not. It's Splatterhouse, man.
I know it had potential. I'm not saying it couldn't have been. It could have been, but it was not a
visually
good game.
Right. It's visually striking. There's things to like about it, but is it a great game?
No, it's definitely not retro either. But
that's 2010. It's got unlockable 1, 2, and 3.
At one point, where 360 and PS3 are going to be considered retro consoles, but that day is not yet. It's not now.
It's very close. 2010 when this released. So it's 12 years later now. So give another 10 years. Boom.
Yeah.
Boom. You've been retroed.
Yeah. And we'll be here to cover it all.
Yeah. Now, I was gonna. Do you have like a favorite boss before it would like this is where I started really playing a lot. Did you have a favorite boss in Splatterhouse 2 or?
I did. The big. I think we just saw it and I skipped ahead, or maybe we did show it. It's the guy right before this. Here he is. This guy. This big fat wormy dude. Really into him.
Oh, you really like the big fat wormy dude? Yeah, he's pretty sexy. I like him.
Yeah.
I feel like this game is always. It's all a lot of times it's about standing in the right place or not doing something, and he's not too hard to beat if you stand in the right places.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, you can do it real good.
Yeah, I'm gonna say though, just visually speaking, this is a brighter, more vibrant game than any of them really.
Yeah.
This particular one. Whoops. This, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, this palette, even though we're limited to 6,464 colors, rather, not 100.
Right.
It's still just, we never got to see a Super NES take on this with higher color palette and all that. So maybe it would have been better, but this is just bright and I don't know, dark at the same time, but just really sharp. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
I think it wouldn't. I honestly, I don't think the SNES version would have been as good. To be honest with you, I think that this is one of the. This has got really large sprites, and I think that really shines on the Sega Genesis. So I think it's seeing the best. My favorite bad guy, by the way, is Biggie Man. He's the one with the the chainsaws.
Oh,
and he's got the old burlap sack for a head.
Yeah. Biggie Man is good.
Cool.
He was. I saw. Isn't he in?
He's in the arcade in the TurboGrafx.
The arcade. 16, yeah.
It was the first one. Yeah.
Biggie Man. I forgot his name, but yeah, Biggie Man's got he's almost like that new. There's that Chainsaw Man that just came out. The anime. It reminds me of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does remind me of that. Yeah.
I can't find a picture of him, but every time I look for Biggie Man, all I get is Biggie Smalls album covers. Damn it.
I'm looking for the guy who did the lyrical stuff. He was a big man.
Yeah, he was a big man. He was on a boat or something and fancy. He was fancy and he didn't like Tupac.
He was fancy.
All right, so there's your look at Splatterhouse.
But
2.
wait, what about do we even talk about Splatterhouse 3? Because that's
we got to do Splatterhouse 3. That's next. That's up.
Okay.
So listen to this. This has sound in it.
Yes, it is some good sound too.
Yeah, they didn't that's actually punching a thing,
Yeah.
Not this,
very satisfying.
Not this 2 garbage where they don't, for whatever reason, they decided, it's a video game. Do we need sound anymore? Do we even need sound? That's what I felt like they were saying when they made that thing.
Yeah.
But this thing,
they're
all in, dude. It's great.
I kind of wonder if and when they did Splatterhouse 2 on the Genesis, if they were kind of going, do you think anybody's going to buy this? I don't know. And then when the sales were pretty good, they said, yeah, let's get that Splatterhouse 3 moving. Yeah. Let's get it out there. 1993. What's hot right now? What's the hot fighting? Streets of Rage, Final Fight. Let's make a brawler.
Let's go.
Let's take them to the brawler.
I really wish this game had the art style of the second game. I think was just better. And then the sound work of this one and then the structure of the arcade TurboGrafx 16 game. That to me would be the perfect combination across the board. Instead, this one just feels a little meandery. There's backtracking I didn't love.
Right.
I don't know. It's not my favorite in the series, but I do like how it sounds. It sounds real good.
Yeah, I couldn't decide. It's almost playing a different game because the first couple of ones were all, like side scrolling, single lane, go through fight, pretty much a straight path. This has non-linear maps.
Yeah.
That you can kind of move around, and it's got a timing mechanic. And now you're Rick and Jennifer, and you got your own house, you got your own mansion now, and you got a kid. And so there's all kind of things going on here. Like I said, the timing mechanic is kind of cool because you've only got so long to get to your loved one before they die. There's 3 endings. There's 3 possibilities of how that could go, whether you save Jennifer and your child or not. But yeah, I like the non-linear path because you can go different ways, and there's like rooms that like teleport you different places where you can pick up a book or restore some health. There's a little bit of strategy to it. It's not great though, but like you said, it's a little meandering.
I just don't I don't like backtracking very much. To me, this felt like, hey, Streets of Rage is popular. Let's make the game more Streets of Rage. Like items are way less of a thing. They're like single-use thrown items. You don't get a hacksaw thing that you can carry for a long time. They don't even have a.
God, that's the worst part of this one, if you ask me. The weapon ghost, the object ghost, whatever you want to call them, the floating heads from the first one. Yeah. They come. If you're using a weapon, especially one that's throwable, like if you have a 2x4 and you drop it for some, let's say you get hit, and so you drop the weapon, these little ghost heads will come flying in really fast and grab your weapon and take it off to an area. By the way, once you can figure out where those areas are when you're looking at the map and retrieve them. But it's a pain in the butt. Cinder block is my favorite one though. But it's really effective. It's a one-hit blow. But then before you can even get near that thing, the ghost head comes down and goes,
yeah, I'm going to take your shit away.
Right.
But the focus on the weapons is it plays like, I don't know. I say it as I'm watching the video and the guy's carrying this wood for a long time, but.
Yeah, if you hold that 2x4, you are right.
Yeah, if you get hit, though, it drops, which is totally Streets of Rage. Like, they just took that out of there.
Yes.
And I get it. It's the time, man. It was 1993. It's what we did.
Yes.
But I'm not happy about it.
You got to collect orbs in this one where you could do a power-up. So you could power them up, and then you could, like, basically rage out. Like you weren't already a monster. You could roid rage. And the mask gets all weird and stuff. It almost kind of looks like venom or something is going on. That's kind of cool. Yeah. It's pretty badass. Yeah. It's pretty badass.
And the cutscenes are cool. They have some almost like photo realistic cutscenes. Sometimes Jennifer looks like a real lady.
They are. It's whatever we were doing during that time where we would scan photos in and basically render them. I don't know what process. I have to go back and look. I used to know what that kind of process was, but yeah, they're real photos of people that have been translated into graphics.
Sure. Would you play if they came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, Splatterhouse, new game"? Would you play it like now?
Absolutely, especially yes, absolutely. Now I would. A week ago, I would have said like, I don't know, but I fell in love with this game, or that's like I often do. I fall in love with these games. There's a reason why we cover these games, because usually there's a lot of buzz around them. You guys suggest them, and then we'll get in there. And I'm just like you. I'm a retro game lover, and I missed out on most of this stuff. And when I dive a little deeper, I see why people are still talking about it. This many years later.
Yeah, and I don't think this one was all blood and guts, and that's what drove its sales. I mean, there's some of that, right? It's just provocative, especially at the time. Yeah. But I think there's meat to it. No pun intended. Yeah. There's a lot of meat in the game.
I'm kind of jealous of the TurboGrafx. If there's anything I would never have been jealous of the TurboGrafx 16. By looking at the library, I was always like, and I didn't miss out on anything. This is the one time I was like, oh man, I would have loved to have had this when I was 1990. It would have totally been my jam. I would have loved this.
Oh hell yeah. I mean, I liked it in the arcade, but since I couldn't get it at home, I just sort of forgot,
Yeah.
And then Mortal Kombat rolls around. I'm like, Oh, now I'm old enough to make my own damn decisions. Sorry, Mom.
That's right.
Freaking,
you can't tell me what to do, mommy.
Yeah, and by then she was like sitting down with a controller and laughing at how she couldn't control fighters very well. Like she had changed her tune by the time I was out of high school.
Yeah.
Like suddenly everything is fine. Oh yeah, that's great. Ha ha. But before that, it was like, we will not have that trash in this house. We will
not have it.
Yep, she wasn't into it. So
it wasn't even that long from like 1989 to 1995. It was only 6 years, and already for the PS1, they included Splatterhouse 1, the arcade version, on the Namco Museum for the PlayStation.
Yep.
That seems like that's like wow. Can you say museum after a game is only 6 years old? I mean, I know I know they also maybe included it because Shigeru Yokoyama did Galaga, but you're playing some of the footage from the 2010.
Yeah, we're looking at the
has,
2010
killer soundtrack.
It's got great soundtrack. It's got lots of blood,
so much all over the screen,
more than you might expect. I don't know. It's surprising how much blood there is, but I think there's more blood than these creatures have in their bodies. But it's a very stylistic, weird game. I like what they were trying to do here. I just don't know if they got there. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It feels
doing
like
those quick time events. Oh, just murder him.
Do it again. That's what I'm saying. Make another one. Yeah. Now's the time. They kind of use that the Batman Arkham Asylum combat.
Right.
It totally reminds me of that, and it worked. It was pretty good. I actually still think this looks really nice. Like for. Yeah, I mean, we kind of pressed it on graphics anyway. Like we're not really that different than we were 10 years ago, but it's real pretty.
Well, I was trying to think of what the things are going to be. What are going to be the things that are really going to mark this as early, as 2010? And the main complaint I heard from people on this game was loading screens. So is that going to be the thing? It's like, oh, you don't want to die in one of these 2010 games because you did. You're going to be punished by having to wait for a loading screen.
Yeah.
But this game 2010 came, I think, released like at about $40, and it was you could if you got a particular one, you would get a game code and you could unlock Splatterhouse 1 arcade version 2 and 3, so you could also play those.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, or you could unlock it as you played if you didn't get a code. So I've been looking this past week to pick up a copy of Splatterhouse for the PS3 or the 360. I have both of those consoles, and they are getting it just almost as ridiculously as expensive as the 1, 2, and 3, which are very expensive as well. Over $100 lots of times for any of these. I just don't know if there weren't that many sold, or people just didn't think it was worth keeping, and they've just gotten so rare.
You think the idea of a new Splatterhouse game? How do I put this? Like, to truly do what the original did, which was such a send up of other horror tropes, you'd have to kind of lean into that. And I think things are more litigious and weird now if you're going to do a mainstream thing like that. So also, like the idea of somebody asked me on Twitter today, do you think they'll ever do a Splatterhouse like full-length feature film? No, because it's making fun. It's like what Scary Movie is to Scream.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they're already doing the parody's already happening. So the movies that it's making fun of already exist. You want to make a movie about a thing that makes fun of other movies? Like, I don't know if that works.
Yeah, it's kind of like Street Fighter, the movie, the game.
Yeah.
I mean, once you've passed it back and forth through the system enough times, it's just like, oh, we photocopied this too many times. Does it apply? But I would like to, but I still would watch a Splatterhouse movie if they put it out. I don't know why. There's something very attractive about this modern, old fairy tales. Like, okay, listen, I kept thinking about Mario. I kept thinking about Princess Peach and Mario when I was playing this past week, because I kept going, Rick and Jennifer. Rick's got to save his princess of sorts.
Sure.
But it's in this dark tale. And it's a tale as old as time.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah. It's interesting that we took these slasher movies from the 70s and 80s, which had all of these modern young people, and we updated the whole fantasy of it. And so I could see them taking an angle to make something modern out of this
in
without
a game,
being.
yes. In a movie, I don't think so. I don't think we need it.
It would be. You'd have to go in a really interesting angle. Because I also there's a couple things about it. I thought about Mario and the princess idea, and then I also thought about a mask that imbues you with power. Too many people from my generation would think of Jim Carrey in The Mask. It would be hard. You would have to take I think you'd have to take a really hard slant into Japanese culture for the U.S. to make this fly.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to get the whole there's a Terra Mask idea. There's stories about Terra Mask. I mean, this is not a whole new idea. I think it's either anime or manga. I've seen several topics of that. So this is a cultural story that certainly you could find a way. I would like to see as an anime. I wouldn't mind seeing Splatterhouse the anime.
Well, weren't there? I'd watch that. Weren't there Splatterhouse at her house comics? Sorry, I'm typing this as I say it. I thought there was something like that, right? Wasn't there a Splatterhouse?
Well, you might be thinking of the Splatterhouse TurboGrafx ad that was in Marvel Comics, and I think you also got one. It was basically just the TurboGrafx ad for this game. It was illustrated.
Oh, look at this!
But there could have been some Splatterhouse because there's a lot of fan base stuff.
Oh, this is Splatterhouse and Slaughterhouse 5 keep getting mixed up in the results.
It's so funny. It does. It happens all the time. So people always ask me, like, Splatterhouse? And it's like, yeah. You mean Splatterhouse 5? And it's like, no, not Slaughterhouse. No, Splatterhouse.
Maybe I'll draw him. I'm kind of in the mood. Maybe I'll draw this dude.
He is way cool. Have you seen the Splatterhouse trilogy? I came really close to ordering this. I haven't ruled it out yet. Actually, they made me an offer on eBay I was looking at it. It's the Splatterhouse trilogy for the Dreamcast, and it's fan made based on the Beats of Rage, which is that open source video game engine.
Yeah.
For the Streets of Rage essentially, and people just drop in their own graphics and stuff. It looks pretty cool.
So wait, was this made when was this made? Recently? Like a recent?
No, for the Dreamcast. So, during that era.
Interesting. But that was always, you couldn't go buy that. You had to, know how to get on Usenet and download that thing or what? How would you get a hold of that? Because it doesn't sound like
you would. Well, today you can just order. People make them on eBay and you just order them and, $10-20. And so, it's like, oh, well, why does it cost $10 or $20 when it's a free game? They tell you on eBay, oh, it's a free game. However, I bought the case. I printed out this nice, nice cover. It looks like an official, Dreamcast thing. And so, but back in the day, that's how you'd do it. You'd find somebody.
Yeah.
You couldn't go to Walmart or nothing.
Or Amazon. Who'd want to, really?
Who'd want to?
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Well, all right. This has been an interesting look at a game series that many of you probably never even seen. So we hope we've opened your eyes to a hot new franchise known as Splatterhouse 1, 2, and 3, plus a weird Japanese offshoot and a bad 2010 game that didn't do that well.
Yeah. I want to say two things real quick before we cut off of that. I got some scrutiny from some trivia I read.
Uh-oh.
Because this would change a lot of how I think of this game. So I just don't know if it seems like somebody would just make this up. But anyway, scrutiny.
Let's do a little crossover from FilmSack. Here you go.
Scrutiny.
All right, go ahead.
There you go. So tvtropes.org on their Splatterhouse video game wiki. It says, in the first game, Rick is dressed like a hospital patient. This is because originally he was supposed to be an escaped psycho chasing Jennifer. Him being a standard good guy and her actual boyfriend was a case of last minute. This example contains a trivia entry. It should be moved to the trivia tab. Executive meddling. So the trope is executive meddling, that it was originally going to be that he was from a mental hospital, but he was parasite. I don't know. I can visually see maybe, but it feels like, retconning something. It feels like they're going back and going, yeah, that's what happened. That's why he looks like that.
This would be a scary, like somebody built like Dave Bautista, shirt on, ripped up pants like the Hulk, the stupid mask on, covered in blood, chasing you down a hallway. That's scary shit.
Rick, come on, Rick. Cool. Be cool, bro.
Yeah, be cool, Rick. Cool. I remember you before you died. Be cool, buddy.
Right. You want to know what GamePro thought back in May of 1992?
Always.
All right. If you can't appreciate Splatterhouse gross out factor, you can surely appreciate its other redeeming qualities, which include awesome graphics, neato sound effects and music, Mondo challenge, and non-thumb threatening character control. If you ever wanted to seek revenge on all those early childhood closet monsters, now's your chance to do it vicariously through Splatterhouse 2. Good to the last splat. That is such the 1992 vernacular. That whole thing just reeked of 1992 from the neato sound effects, awesome graphics, Mondo challenge.
What'd you think of the Splatterhouse 3 cover art for the Genesis? It's very like Boris Vallejo.
I liked it.
It's Julio somebody. Right. I don't know his real name. I like it, but it doesn't fit. Like that hair's wrong. Like he looks like he looks like a predator somehow. The hair like bleeds into his mask. It's weird.
That's well, you know, when you Hulk out, when you power up, that's kind of what it does. It kind of wraps around your head like these weird tentacle things. But I think they overdid it. I'm with you. I like my Rick to wear the garage overall type look. You know what I mean? The coverall. That's what I'm looking for. The cutoff sleeve garage coverall look. That's what I like.
Yeah, I like that as well. Back in 2010, EGM, they did a cover that I really like. Here, I'll pull this up. I was talking about
Electronics
35
Games Magazine.
Electronic Gaming Magazine. Electronic Gaming Monthly. Sorry. 35 retro revivals. One of them was Splatterhouse, and this is when they were announcing the new Splatterhouse. So there's that. It's kind of cool.
Yes, I like that. That looks good. He's got the 2x4. They obviously talked to the developers. It looks like some artwork from the developers. Actually, that's got that 2x4 with the nails in it.
Totes.
Totes, my goats.
Was the Game Pro magazine was this one? Here, pull that up and show the chat. That was this one, I think, for Splatterhouse 2. I always hated this cover. I just thought it was so stupid. But...
Oh, yeah, because it looks more like is it a kabuki mask? Is that what the Japanese kabuki mask? It looks a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, part of me likes it because it's like a weird stylistic choice at all, just this way this is drawn. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can handle it.
He's got all the green slime because I guess he's holding a machete and it's on his back of his neck and it's like dripping the green blood. That was the other thing I didn't know how I felt about in this game. It's like, oh, just give me some blood, man. Stop with this green slimy stuff. Give me some blood.
That was the Nintendo time. That's what they did. Well, not in this case.
Nintendo time.
They didn't even do this game. All right. Well, now that that's over, we have to do some guessing, everybody. So sit still and enjoy.
Destroy it.
That's the wrong one.
Welcome to the...
No, that's email.
Destroy it.
You know what I did? I didn't play the right thing for when we started the game, which is this. I totally screwed up and didn't play that. Oops.
No wonder I felt off.
Yeah, that's what they did to me too. I was like, what did I do wrong? And I got past it too quick. That's what it was. All right. So the laughing guy knows what's up. It's time for us to guess my game, where we play we play a little audio from an old game and try to stump each other as to what its origin is. I'm going to start with this clip from 1995.
Oh, whoa, 1995. Okay.
The Genesis, and I'll say it's horror adjacent.
Horror adjacent.
Yeah, so not straight up like a horror game, but it's definitely, it's got the vibe.
Horror-like. Right? Gotcha.
And here's your sound.
The 18.
so Genesis sound chip. Let's skip ahead a little.
Sounds familiar. Oh, wow. Very bubbly.
Very bubbly. Oh, that might give you a hint. Any ideas?
No, it's part of it sounded like the very beginning sounded very familiar, but then the actual gameplay does not. And that bubble up sound. Okay, so 1995, this is the Sega Genesis.
Yep.
This is late in the Genesis life cycle, right?
Yep. So this is just prior to PlayStation's a year away in Japan.
Yeah, just a year away.
A couple of years.
It's horror adjacent. Who's the developer?
Oh, let me tell you. This is. I wrote this one down.
And is this the first in a series?
No, there was no follow-up to it.
So it's only one. Okay.
Only one. It was Sega Technical Institute was the developer.
Oh, so it was STI. Okay.
Yep. And publisher Sega. It's a Sega joint.
Right. Yeah.
I'll give you one other hint on that front. It was, let's see. No, that won't give you anything, I don't think.
Interesting. I can't say that I know. It feels like it's military based, but like with alien hints to it or something.
Well, you're really in the right zone. I'll just tell you because it's going to be hard. But do you remember the game The Ooze?
The Ooze. I remember the cover art, but I don't remember anything about the game. I never played it. Let me
It's
take a look.
awesome. The Ooze is the technical achievement as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
This trippy concept of like this goo that moved around the screen, this green pile, and had like a skull in it, and you control it, and you fire off your goo balls and try to kind of, in some ways, there's a bunch of puzzly elements to it as well.
I remember this because I was scrolling through my Sega Genesis titles on my RetroArch using Emulation Station, and it'll play when you go past. It'll play like a short little video clip after it shows you the cover art.
Yeah.
So I definitely remember this. I've never played it though.
It's a trip. I still think it's an impressive, just like a tech demo for 16-bit systems. It's just really neat looking.
That looks neat. Yeah, there's like little snakes coming out of like a tube or something. So is this like you're the ooze? Like, are you some kind of radioactive goose?
So goose ooze. So the way it works is, here's the story. The game starts at a chemical plant.
Okay, yeah.
It's some dumb thing like that. There's a scientist. He sneaks into a research lab. He gets where he works there. He's trying to find evidence of crimes that were being committed using some toxic gas that he created.
Oh.
And then
did he create it out of his butt?
Well, the problem is so he there's I can't remember if it was an accident or they did it to him, but he gets exposed to the gas and they leave him for dead. They throw him out. The chemicals don't actually kill him though. It just made him pissed. He becomes like a sentient, formless, monster called the Ooze. Now he's swearing revenge. It's a little Hulk origin, basically, kind of.
Yeah, but this is so like third tier horror movie stuff. I mean, I love it. This is such a homage to the almost trauma.
Yeah, very trauma.
Type stuff. So I like this. This is pretty cool.
Very toxic Avenger kind of origin story and stuff.
Is it a dual stick shooter kind of?
No,
or it looks like you're steering one and
the best you could do is you still just use the D-pad to move around and then.
Oh, that's right, because this is Sega Genesis. That's right.
It's just the Genesis. So it's
cool
though.
I bet it worked well with this dual stick.
Highly recommend checking it out if you haven't on emulation. It's a neat game. Really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, Brian. Now, whoops. I'm going to play yours.
And now this.
What's your year? What do you got here?
I was on the wrong tab. 1987. This was originally in the arcade, but made it to other consoles as we went along. So,
all right, here it is.
Give a listen.
Is this an Atari game? Like Atari?
No, this arcade? Is we are arcade. Oh, is it Atari? Okay, I got you. Is it Atari?
Yeah.
No. This is a Tecmo game. Tecmo. Remember Tecmo?
Oh yeah.
Side-scrolling platformer.
This is Wonder Boy?
Oh, that's a no. Oh, definitely not.
What was that? Let me hear that again. Oh, why is this so familiar? It's gonna bug me.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be like, oh, I haven't thought about this game in a million years when you hear what it is. How about this? Here's your introduction. 4.5 billion years have passed since Earth's creation. Many dominators have ruled in all their glory, but time was their greatest enemy. It defeated their reign, and now a new dominator's reign begins.
Jeez, I don't know.
It eventually made it to the NES, made it to, oh my gosh, the Commodore 64, the ZX Spectrum, the Amstrad, the CPC, the Master System, Lynx, your Nokia phone, PlayStation 4, and even the Commodore Amiga. Much beloved, by the way. People love this game.
I honestly don't know.
How about you assume the role of the legendary warrior?
It sounds like about 1,000 games.
Rygar.
Oh, Rygar! Ow! I like Rygar.
Ow, it hurts.
I don't remember Rygar sounding like a little kid. Here, hold on.
This is the arcade version.
Yeah, but I don't remember him sounding like a little Link kid. He sounded, in the games I played, it was like, oh, yeah, wasn't it? Or am I remembering that wrong? I don't know what I think.
I don't know. You might remember some of the later ones. There's other games. There's some other Rygar, the Legendary Adventure. That's part of for the Monster Rancher. And oh no, that's not right. So yeah, the Rygar, the Legendary Adventure, that kind of stuff. That might be what you're thinking of.
Yeah, I tried to play Rygar recently. I think in I can't remember why I fired it up and tried to play it, but I remember thinking it didn't hold up very well. You know?
Yeah, look at that
glitchy, that blink thing that the NES did. That's the other thing I noticed about the Splatterhouse Japanese only game, that Graffiti one. Yeah, there was none of that stuff. None of that like flicker and glitch. It's like they figured it out over there or something. It was so much better.
Yeah, the Famicom is a little more powerful system than the NES. If I
didn't know
correctly.
that. Is that true?
Yeah, I believe I remember that correctly.
No, I thought it was like same machine, just different branding, same guts.
I think it had different stuff.
Well, you might be right. I don't know. What do I know? I don't know things.
Right. Maybe I'm remembering it wrongly. That seems like what I remember.
Rygar running around in his pajama pants looking like an idiot. Nice pick. That was a good one. If you guys have a suggestion for a game we should guess, you can always send those into our email, which we're about to read right freaking now.
Welcome to the treasure room.
Yeah, it's time for emails. We got these emails that come to us at playretroshow@gmail.com. That's playretroshow@gmail.com. We got one from Joseph. Yep. He called in on his Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Ooh.
And he said, Brian and Scott, I love Play Retro. I've been listening since the Boop days. I also love listening to Core. Well, thank you very much. They're the two shows that make up the gaming party that is the Frog Pants Network. Anyway, I received a Steam Deck early in August, and I just got my email saying... Reserve, sorry. And I just got my email saying mine was ready. I'm super excited. I know it's not something that you can discuss on the show or may not even want to discuss on an email. If not, I understand. But would you be willing to recommend safe-ish sites for ROMs? I have been searching and do not want to download garbage. Thank you and keep up the work, Joseph. Here's my recommendation. The Great Preserver, known as archive.org. Interested in saving everything from old websites to video no one thinks is around anymore to you name it. If it's digital, they want to preserve it. And they have a ton of ROM stuff on there, including games you can play right through their interface, like through archive.org. I think it's a good place and a safe place to go. So I'd go there. Brian, anything else?
I agree. There's a good a collection of things at archive.org. And the best part of it is the community there is not just ROM collectors. They're into other things. So if you do find a ROM, it's still gonna be dangerous to getting ROMs from archive.org. However, if you look at the comments section, when you're looking at the ROMs, you'll see that there's people having discussions. And if there's a good, healthy discussion threads going on, then you're probably going to be fairly safe. The safest way, of course, is to rip your own ROMs if you can. There's a couple of devices out there that allow you to do that. Get your own carts and then rip them, and then you can play it on your Steam Deck. That's the hard way. Brian likes to do it that way, but
Brian likes to do everything the hard way. That's how he does it.
That's right. Well, plus I know it's like, where'd this ROM come from? Well, it came from me. That's
a good call on that whole end of it. But also, what was I going to say about archive? I forgot now. Something.
It's a very frequent question we get, though. People are always asking, where's a safe place to get your ROMs? Because not only is it dangerous for other people, also we know that occasionally some of these ROM sites will be taken over by officials. And, it's just always a scary thing. You can go to, I believe it's My Abandonware. Is that
myabandonware.com?
I think that I will sometimes go there because they usually have a good feel on whether or not the game has actually, is it really abandoned? You know what I mean? So myabandonedware.com, if there's a ROM you're thinking of getting, and you're like trying to choose it from a couple of them, you might want to go to My Abandonedware, because they'll kind of discuss, is this truly basically public domain? Probably not, because it's too short, but is it basically been abandoned? Are you pretty safe? Probably.
Yeah. Like, for example, Stormlord for DOS, also for the Genesis. This was a canceled game made in the United Kingdom.
Right.
Barbarian fantasy platformer thing. A lot of people like it. Tongue-in-cheek arcade adventure game casting the role of Stormlord, the hard man. The hard man.
Now, everything that we have said, now those are all gray areas. The safest place, and the place I like to get my ROMs from when I'm not ripping my own, is I like just buying them off Steam or Good Old Games. If you do a little research, you'll find that most of those ROMs can be extracted either directly or through GitHub applications that allow you to grab those ROMs and play them where you want to.
Yeah.
So that's usually my two preferred ways to go. Occasionally, I do have to go, I've got no resources, and there's nothing. It's not on abandonedware, and then I have to go down to go down my list of stuff, and all this stuff is to say, we can't really recommend any place for ROMs. You do what you want to do. ROMs are a gray area. You have to take your own legal advice.
That is absolutely true.
Right.
By the way, look at this Stormlord art, man, for this game that got canceled. Look at that cool Viking.
Stormlord.
I freaking love it, dude.
I love it too. Oh, I've been really getting into fancy stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I went back and found Rygar, because I recently went to a comic book store and I picked up, you remember this? Crystar?
Saga
Crystal
of
Warrior?
Crystar. Crystal Warrior. And this is a Marvel joint, right? Yeah. Marvel.
Yes. Number, I have the entire 11 issue run of this now. And I love this because the artwork, oh my God, when I saw this back when it was released, because I owned this one back in the day.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, that was like nothing else. That was like nothing else on the shelves at the time.
Kind of into it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I'd be reading that comic. Well, anyway, we hope that answered your question. If you've got other questions in this vein or anything else, we'd love to read them. PlayRetroShow@gmail.com. That's PlayRetroShow@gmail.com. Thank you, Joseph. Our next discussion will be Retro Resident Evil.
Yes.
That's right. Will we have 2 more shows before the end of the month or no?
Actually, we only got one, unless we cram another one in, because let's see, because we'll just miss it. Monday is Halloween. Not this next Monday, but the following Monday.
Yeah.
So we'll have one on the 25th, and then the next week.
Because we thought about Silent Hill, but I think Resident Evil is the one that deserves the discussion. It predates Silent Hill anyway. So let's do it. Let's do Resident Evil. We're going back to the roots of the 32-bit revolution of what was Resident Evil and how it holds up today, and what it led to and everything else. The ultimate pre-Halloween play retro topic.
And you're going to get totally stoked and go, oh, I can't wait for them to talk about my favorite Resident Evil. And hopefully that's Code Veronica, because that's as far as we're going. We're going, this is retro Resident Evil. It's going to be 1, 2, Nemesis, Survivor, and then Code Veronica. And if I have time, the second Code Veronica.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know about that one. But 1, 2, Nemesis, which is 3,
right,
for sure. And then Code Veronica, certainly. I think Code Veronica, the last hurrah of the tank controls traditional thing, before we would end up with 4 in 2004, which is an amazing game, but, kind of takes us out of the period we're talking about. Anyway, we'll talk all about it. Might even get some comments from John Jagger, my co-host on Core, because he loves Resident Evil like a madman.
Didn't he take you through the more recent Resident Evil?
He did. We went through Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake.
Nice.
And he knows those games back and front. He's really good at them. He doesn't get afraid like I do. So there's that.
He's not a coward.
Yeah, he's not a baby man like me. So speaking of which, if you want to watch me play that, there's a 7.5 minute supercut of the best parts of what I played of Mortuary Assistant, which is now up on my YouTube channel. So if you have not subscribed or been to my YouTube channel, it's at youtube.com/Scott Johnson. And it's got all kinds of stuff, including video archive of this show and all the other shows we do. Plus, occasionally I'll play a game and do stuff weird with it, and that's what I did there. So if you want to go watch that and hear me scream like a baby, I'll give you an example of what that sounds like.
You keep saying you scream like a baby. I've never heard a baby scream like that. I would be terrified if a baby screamed like you scream.
Well, you
have something totally unique, and it's a lot of fun.
Here's how I scream. There you go. That's what I do.
You sound like a Disney character who has fallen off a cliff, is what you sound.
Yeah. It gets pretty bad. And it gets worse than that. So if you want to hear that and hear it frequently, check out that 7.5-minute video of the.
You would like to hear a girly man.
Yeah. You want to hear a girly man scream? Good news. Plenty of that content out there. That's going to do it for us. Big thanks to Patreon people. Now, last week we said if you signed up, you'd be getting these cool where's my Kirby stickers? Hold on.
Kirby stickers.
Oh, I left
Kirby
them over
pants.
there. Oh, where is it? I was supposed to have it handy. Instead, I got this NES version of golf. Okay, hold on.
But trust me, as awesome as artwork drawn by Scott. Oh, I love the golf. It is Kirby, and he's got blue jeans on, and it's a nice. Is it a Kiss Cut sticker? It's a very cool looking sticker. I want one for my car.
Kiss Cut? Is it called Kiss Cut? What's that called?
Is it Kiss Cut?
No, it's where it's die cut. That's the word I'm looking for.
Die cut. That's it. How appropriate for Halloween.
It's basically Kirby. It's Kirby wearing jeans and sneakers. Okay.
Yeah.
And I can't find it, even though I just put them here. Oh, they're right here. Okay, I got it. Here they are. You can see these. It's Kirby, and he's in. I can't hold it close because it gets blurry, but it's Kirby wearing the pants and the shoes. And I'm going to send these, plus some other stuff, and our thanks to these fine folks who signed up, because I told you I would. I said since the last episode we had no new patrons. I was like, you know what, y'all? Get in there and I'll send you some stickers. And they did.
And you guys stepped up.
That's right. Stepped up. So check out who did. Perplexer, Kurt, Tweep. We know Tweep. In fact, Tweep donated the Mortuary game to me that I'm playing.
Oh, yes.
Bill Edwardson, Matthew Palmer, Dominic Pace, and Bit O'Brien. Nothing to do with you. There's no relation, I don't think, to you.
No, probably not.
Anyway, all of these guys, you're getting free stuff. Congratulations and well done.
I'm a bunch O'Brien.
You are indeed. If you want no commercials ever, pre-show content every week, and monthly benefits you can only get through the Patreon, check it out. Patreon.com/playretro. That's Patreon.com/playretro. All right. It's Resident Evil next week, guys. Send us your emails. playretroshow@gmail.com. frogpants.com/playretro. And if you're trying to find us on Twitter, you can do that too. Play Retro Show on Twitter. Hey, Brian, is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Yeah, I do a stream every night, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I stream these retro games. Come check it out, you cowards.
Naked bastard. I don't know what that means. All right, that's it. Until next week, keep having a great month. Go watch some horror movies and do play something retro. We'll see you next time.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Oh, jeez. What's worse, that? So I'll play it again. Or this? Which do you prefer?
I think I like yours better because there's no